first became really interested in water when I was working in coffee. We set up these coffee processing facilities in rural parts of Tanzania. And part of what you need to process coffee is a reliable water source that's clean. So we worked with a local engineer and built these very small scale systems. They were huge attractions to local communities because it was the first time there was this developed water source. So I was like, oh, interesting. Didn't occur to me that this was such an issue, that people were coming from, a 1 mile radius to collect water and bring it back to their homes from this coffee processing facility. Just to take a step back about the impact of water and sanitation, I would say that the first thing when you're thinking about cross-sectoral collaboration is that you can't achieve any of our development goals without water. So I'm thinking about poverty. There's studies that show that if you don't have access to clean water or sanitation, there's a significant impact on your health, which then impacts your income level. Just the dignity of having water in your home and having a toilet in your home is really part of the definition of what it means to be in poverty. You think beyond just income. Gender equality is another huge area where I think without water access or a dignified sanitation access, you really can't achieve gender equality. It's usually women and girls who are the ones who have to go and deal with the fact that water is not flowing in their taps. And so that takes away productive time for women. Sometimes girls are not going to school because they have to go get water. If women don't have to worry about collecting water, they have more ability to engage in the economy, or maybe take some time to do whatever interests them. There's also the health effects of not having safe sanitation mean that women are the ones who are taking care of sick family members. And often when you're low income, if you have to take a day off of work, you just don't earn money that day. So it really has this ripple effect on the family and on women in particular. Thinking sort of more macro level, Paul mentioned that there's this intersection between water and energy. There's also an intersection between water and agriculture. So there's lots of other industries that need water to function. It's not just humans that are using it. In fact, agriculture is something like 70% of water consumption is through agriculture. So ideally, we'd operate in a world where lots of stakeholders are coming to the table early on in a watershed to plan how water is going to be distributed amongst the different needs that are out there, and making sure there's a rational use of this relatively scarce and precious resource. But that's often not happening. So I think, when we're looking at making an investment in water, part of what we want to understand is that water going to be available in the future, especially in times of water scarcity, which is increasing because of climate change. And so looking across different stakeholders and thinking about how can we increase the efficiency of water use in agriculture, for example, so that there is a guaranteed water source for human consumption is something that's really interesting. And it has to happen at a really early stage. That's not something that water equity would come in and lead as an investor. That's really something for governments to take on with civil society, with investors at the table. Part of what we want to understand is as governments are thinking about planning and developing infrastructure projects, how can the private sector come in and participate? If we have a seat at the table from the beginning, it's much more likely that those projects will be successful.